man, it was fun last week celebrating 300, and then we got to we broke a record Friday night at the football game with
the football game.
What
was
we have
phenomenal.
140 something people watching at one point. I think,
yeah, something like that. I felt like.
Unfortunately, it didn't go our way, and we won't dive into that. It sucks. The refs, once again, you all can.
No.
You all can crap on me all the time for hating on the refs.
You can do it all you want.
But the refs straight up cost Montgomery County that game Friday night.
Twice.
You are correct in blaming the refs.
Yeah.
Twice.
It was actually, two touchdowns. There was one was the receiving touchdown. Yeah.
Well, if you want to get technical, it's 3 because that interception bounced off the daggone ground in the in the end zone.
That is true.
So. Yeah, I didn't really think about it until later on that night, and I saw we were trying to get Troy Howell on one of those days. Him and his brother Clark, which is a tennis coach here. We were trying to get them on because they do a podcast themselves and do high school football and basketball talk. He was at the game, and he had a video of the interception and said that's one of the worst interception calls he's ever seen. And the more I watched it, the more I was like, wait a minute. That's the same thing that happened to Kentucky versus Georgia. And they called that an incomplete pass. It's the same thing. Whether it hit the ground and you couldn't see it or whether it bounced off him, he was down. So either it's an incomplete pass or he's down.
Yeah.
You don't have to touch him.
Yeah. Not in high school.
No. So
it's not like the NFL where
unless
you have to
they
run over
wanted
and
to call
touch
it a fumble, but he was touching the ground already.
Yeah.
So one way or the other, it does not go against Montgomery County.
Yeah.
It can't.
But they were saying that it bounced off of him up into the air and then he intercepted.
It should have been. I listen. Coach Caba's got a lot more calmness about him than I would have because I would have cost us 15 yards driving. I would have cost us 15 yards if I was in a head coaching position because I would have absolutely let that ref have it on that call especially.
Yeah.
I mean, the touchdown call, Ebanks was half a body in.
They placed the ball 3 inches from the goal line.
I think it was less than that.
It may have been.
I mean,
I think when it was sitting there, the ball was actually touching the line. That's a touchdown, people. All it has to do is touch the line. You're telling me at that close, through all those bodies, that you can without a doubt say that ball never crossed the face of that line.
Here's the problem.
You are a god, and you need to be
Superman. Did you have X-ray vision to being able to see through that?
You should not be officiating high school football. You should be an NFL Super Bowl only. You are only.
Go back and watch it. Ebanks jumps, and his body is over the line. Now, whether he gets hit and it brings him down and past that line, I don't know. But he jumps.
Forward
and the ball's across the line. I mean, even at our vantage point, which is up in the booth and you had it zoomed in, I mean, we're not directly on the play. You can tell from there he crossed the line because he jumps. Yeah. And they're just not experienced enough to make that call that, it crossed the line, then it came back, then he got...
So shall we lay down a challenge? Listeners, we need pylon cameras.
Listen,
we need wireless pylon cameras.
And we
will fix this right now.
This is not a knock against Montgomery County. If we can't get not shot clock, but play clock clocks out there, we're not getting no pylon camera.
I didn't say
Montgomery. Oh, you're talking about
County.
us?
I'm saying from corner to corner.
Well,
our listeners are awesome. If we ask
but it wouldn't even matter though. I mean, all they do is give us an argue point, because it's not like we can do it on
review. It would make us that much more mad.
Yeah, it would.
No, we could say, you know what? That's a good call.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Right here, that he bounced back.
God, it was just. But
even the radio guys from North Laurel were like, "This game should have been over in regulation."
They legit said, "Yeah, that was a touchdown."
Yeah, I mean it's.
They wouldn't know Homer call on their behalf because I could literally hear them go, I'm pretty sure that was a touchdown.
I mean, give North Laurel some credit. I mean, they came in. They'd been in some back and forth and up and downs through the season with some people changing and stuff like that. And I mean, they played their butts off.
They did.
They
surprised Montgomery County with a couple of those long passes.
The Russell Wilson balls.
Lord have mercy. That first one was in the air for 12 minutes. The whole second quarter went off the clock.
I went back when I was looking for that clip that happened at the end. The camera does no justice to those moon balls.
Yeah.
That ball went higher on every pass, went higher than we were in the booth.
Yeah.
Like we were looking straight out at the football.
And it went out of the camera view, right? Yeah. Hence the moon ball. Like the only way you could see it was like the Batman signal when he'd go up in front of the moon and then fall back down. That's how we saw the football. It was like in front of the moon and then fell back down.
That was crazy. But he was super accurate.
Yeah. Until overtime, and then he kind of put one on a rope. And you're like, crap.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a hell of a pass.
It was good. It was a hell of a pass, hell of a catch. Troy actually had one right at the goal line as he lands with 1 foot, watches himself come down. Not much you can do about it.
But I mean, it was a much better season for Montgomery County football than anybody anticipated.
Sure.
Finished the season 5-5, win the district for the first time in 26 years. Had a shutout against Madison Southern.
When is 26 years?
98.
Oh, really?
Won Coach of the Year, Player of the Year. Had some all district teams. So
had a bunch of them on the all district team.
That was really good. It was really good.
And a bunch of them were, defensive and offensive line. I think.
Yeah.
Those 5 that were line.
Yeah.
13 total.
Yeah.
And that goes right back to what Coach said. We've gotten in the weight room. You can see a difference. And, it goes all the way back to when I was saying I noticed at the spring game, at the Steak and Bean Bowl game, I was like, a couple guys do look a little bit different. And they kind of proved that this year. Jacob
and Jama will be a dynamic duo next year as seniors, I think.
Yeah, I mean, they really, you lose Duran.
Yeah.
Was Gabe a senior? For some odd reason, it doesn't make me.
Gabe
a senior?
He was.
Okay, so you'll have to find some wide receivers.
Pork Chop is gone too.
But I don't think they had a whole lot of seniors that. I mean, you have some guys on the line. I mean, but I think you've still got a core there that, should make them excited going into next year.
Yeah. So Champions Classic is tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night.
And
the unofficial kickoff to college basketball.
Should it still be called Champions Classic?
Yeah.
No.
Why not?
Well, when was the last time any of those teams won a championship? Kansas? I mean, it's been a while for Duke, right? When did Duke win last?
Well, let's see here.
I mean,
Missouri,
Adam spit it off. I mean, we know Kentucky was 2012. When was the last time Michigan State won?
Michigan State hadn't won one since the
early 2000s?
1800s, I think. No, it was.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, if it's the Champions Classic, shouldn't UConn be in that now instead of Michigan State?
There's a legit,
And I think you can make a case to put Villanova in it.
So UConn.
Well, you could if they didn't suck as bad as they do right now.
This is true. UConn the last 2 years. Kansas was in 2022. So
okay. So Kansas deserves to be there. UConn should be there.
Duke was in 2015.
Okay.
Kentucky was in 2012.
Okay. What about North Carolina? Are they in there?
North Carolina was in 17 and in 05. So I mean, I'm kind of surprised that North Carolina is not in it.
What are your last 4 champions?
The last 4 champions are UConn, Kansas, Baylor, and Virginia.
So there you go. There's your 4.
That'll be boring.
Well, I mean, I know it would be, but if you're going to call it the Champions Classic, then
I actually had that same thought. It's like, what if you just took,
rotated every other year?
So next year it would be, UConn, Kansas, Baylor, and whoever wins this year.
Or at least switch it up once all four have played each other. Then
refresh it with four different teams.
I just take your last four champions.
Like, I don't have a problem with these four teams doing what they do every year, but I don't think we should call it the Champions Classic.
I mean, UConn's won it in 24 in the last 2 years. They also won it in 14, and they also won it in 11. They should be there.
I mean, more so than
they should be there over
Michigan State or
Michigan
Kentucky.
State. The last time Michigan State won it was in 2000. I mean,
definitely need to be there over
and in 79.
Yeah,
I mean,
Izzo's only won one title.
Yeah.
So why the
He's
heck?
been to the Final Four a bunch.
How in the heck is Michigan State in the Champions Classic?
I mean, technically, those four would be your blue bloods.
And how come we never play Michigan State? Why do we always play Kansas or Duke?
Well, we do play them every third year.
I couldn't tell you. It does not feel like
it doesn't feel like it because you don't pay attention to that game. No, yeah, right. Because we always play at the 9:00 game. Because why? We have the best fans in the country, so we play the 10:00 game, 10:30 game. So by that time, you're like, who do we play?
You're already pushing me past the bedtime at that point.
Well, that's what I was going to say. You don't pay attention when Kentucky plays Michigan State because Duke and Kansas are playing in the early game. So that's where everybody's focus is.
Right.
So
the games are
Duke
and
Kentucky.
Duke is a 6.5 point favorite, which has gone up a point.
Yeah, I was going to say it was 5.5 earlier.
And Kansas is a 6.5 point favorite on Michigan State,
which has also gone up a point.
So, Rusty and I were talking about this today, and I asked him what he thought, and he said, "What's the line?" And I said, "It's 5.5. Duke is favored." And he said he would bet $20,000 for Duke to cover that line. And I was like, "Okay, so you don't like Kentucky?" He goes, "I think Duke has more athletes than us." And I was like, "Okay,
that don't mean squat." And
I was like, and we just lost a coach that always had more athletes than anybody else, and he didn't do anything with that.
And he still does. And guess what he just did?
Lost.
Take a big fat L.
Baylor went in there and win.
Yep.
You didn't take his bet.
Huh?
You did not take Rusty's bet.
Well, I don't have $20,000 to give away.
I mean, you could just.
Well, I mean,
you could just bet all this stuff.
Bet him sponsorship.
Double it up.
We will give you 5 years of sponsorship.
So you think Kentucky plays within 5.5, 6.5 now? I told him, I said, Cooper Flagg can't do it all by himself. And he goes, well, he's got a lot of 5-star guys. And I said, yeah. And what has he done with them? He is not Coach K. If Coach K was coaching this team,
I'd agree with that. I think,
and I know Adam's going to be tore all to hell, and I'm going to be getting text messages over this come Saturday morning. But I'm not saying that I don't think Duke wins, because they probably do. But I don't think that it is just a given that they're going to roll Kentucky.
I can tell you this for a fact, because I was talking to Adam earlier before I came. He was surprised it was at 5.5. Now it's gone to 6.5. He thought it was going to be at 3.5. That's where he's more comfortable.
So he's putting more spec on Kentucky.
That, or he doesn't. That, or worried about whether Flagg is going to be able to make it through the whole game.
Points. That means that more people are betting Duke, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
so the bet is on Duke to cover that.
Mm-hmm. They don't respect. I think the reason they're putting money on Duke is because they just see Cooper Flagg and they're like, oh my gosh, he's so good. And don't get me wrong, he is really good.
I mean, what about is it Kirk Ariza?
Yeah,
is that his name?
Uh-huh.
He said, I mean, I know they have the number 1 pick in the draft, but he's already calling Flagg the number 1 pick in the draft.
I mean, he's the best player since Zion.
He's better than Zion, I think.
Well, Zion in college was pretty dominant, but I mean, he was pretty good. I mean,
Elite Eight, I think, is where they got.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, he was a really good.
Yeah, he blew his shoe out.
Yeah, he was a really good college player.
He was.
He should have been a really good NBA player, but he can't stay healthy. So he's a major bust when it comes to the NBA.
I mean, and we've called that for a while now.
Yeah. And now
Capital B-U-S-T.
Now he's out indefinitely again.
Yeah. He's soft.
Very.
He might not be soft serve Rudy Gobert because Rudy plays at least, but he is soft. And I'm going to spell it out for you. S-A-W-F-T. Soft. So, who you got? Who you taking?
I'm going to take Kansas to win. I'm just not even taking into consideration the spread. I'm going to take Kansas to win.
So you got the easy one out of the way. Now give us the hard one.
Exactly.
Is anybody thinking Michigan State can win that game, though?
That's why I said it's the
I haven't seen them play. But
they are 2-0. I mean, that doesn't really mean anything because they could be.
I mean, they're all 4 2-0, aren't they? It might be the first time Kentucky's been 2-0 going into this game. Because we normally lose to North Wilkesboro Community College.
So
that ain't the first time. The only time Kentucky has went into at least playing Duke in this game that they weren't. Didn't have a losing record is when it was our first game of the year, and that's the Zion year when they beat them by 35.
That was a rough one.
Michigan State's played Monmouth and Niagara.
Yeah.
But they have put up 81 and 96 points. So, they've got a little bit more firepower, it looks like, compared to seasons here recently in the past, because they've not been able to put up.
Was that firepower or flower power?
Firepower. Firepower.
It sounded like you said flower power.
Must be drinking that water up there.
Good old Croaker water. I think Kansas wins. I think Duke's going to win, but I think we'll cover. So I think it'll be a pretty good game. I think we've got more shooters this year, and we play a better offense. I think our defense is still suspect, even though we've beat the bejesus out of the. I mean,
we only won by 28 on Saturday. I was a little disappointed by that.
Right, because they didn't cover.
Geez, Pete.
They didn't cover by half a point.
Yeah,
but.
It's like Pope knew that on purpose. Just leave it at 28, boys.
Here's what I will say.
Wrap it up. We'll go home.
I heard this afternoon, and I agree with this. If we win this game, it's not as much about our players, but I think it's about Pope understands, I want to win this game. I know what it means to beat Duke, and I'm going to make them understand this is a game you need to win. This is a game that will pole vault us into a stratosphere that you've not felt before yet, because you're at Kentucky and you beat Duke. I know what that means. I'm going to make you understand what that means. I'm going to coach my butt off to make sure that we try to get there as close as possible or beat them, because he understands. Calipari could care less. He was just like, it's another game. It's early in the season. All we're worried about is March. They're young. Blah, 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 blah.
Right.
I mean, Calipari, the only thing he worried about was putting kids in the NBA.
Correct. I think he wanted to win,
I think
but
that's why he lost the fan base inevitably. Is The fan base looks at it kind of like when we have Menifee on. You ask them, what's your goal for the year? All I want to do is beat Bath.
Yeah.
Bath, all I want to do is beat Rowan. That is Kentucky. Your 3 resume games every year, whether you did good or not, is did you hang a banner?
Yeah.
And if you didn't hang a banner, did you at least beat Duke, Louisville, and Tennessee? And if you can say,
I think they're putting Indiana back on the schedule, aren't they?
They are.
I don't know if it's on there this year or not, but
no, I think this is still Cal's schedule.
Yeah.
But with the Kentucky fan base, if you win those 3 games, you beat Duke, Louisville, and Tennessee in the same season, they're not going to crucify you for not hanging a banner.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're not going to be happy.
I mean, Duke, I don't know. I can see Kentucky winning this game.
I wouldn't doubt it.
I think a lot of this is going to depend on, like you just kind of said, Pope has a point to prove, right?
Yeah.
He is getting no love whatsoever, but he's still they've scored over 100 points in every game.
Now,
I understand that the competition is low, but I mean, dude, we couldn't do that on a regular basis with 4 NBA players on the team. We couldn't score 100 points.
We are starting to get a little bit of love. I mean, there's some of those guys, some of the guys out there that are analysts. I mean, I do not like Jeff Goodman, Chipmunk Cheeks. I can't stand him.
Yeah.
But
just listening to him,
he does this. This is what he does. He talks and pays attention to college basketball, and he said, he's got Kentucky playing offense. Watch them. You've passed the ball. You see an offense. You're seeing it being ran. You're seeing it being ran to perfection, and they're putting up the amount of points that a team like that should be putting up that runs that type of offense. So, and he's not the only one that's saying those things. So Pope is starting to get his flowers. Mm-hmm. This game could pole vault them into another place where it's like it can make their confidence go. Be like we're in a place where we need to be because conference play is not going to be. There's going to be half the games is going to be like this. Half the games are going to be, not this hard. This is Duke. This should be a Final Four game, and we're playing this early in the season. So, this is something that can.
And I think the SEC regular season, they're going to do the same thing that the football teams are doing. They're all going to beat each other up.
It's possible.
Survival of the fittest.
One of the things I noticed in the 2 games we've had so far is in the past, anytime the ball came into the paint, you're going to the rim no matter what. Half the time they didn't score. Or they drew a charge or something like that, maybe. But most of the time, they're going to the rim. Now, they get down into the paint and they get locked up, they kick it out. And if you kick it out to Kobe, I mean, you might as well go ahead and put 3 on the board.
I just realized that Darren had set the camera up to point it on himself when I looked up at the TV,
100%.
and I was like, "What? What the hell's up here on the screen?" Oh, it's Darren.
Hey,
I'm talking. I hit the button to show me.
Of course, most producers just stay silent behind the screen. But no, Darren's got to put the camera on him.
He's like, that's the reason we got 2 cameras.
It is.
Well, I've never done that before. I was like, why do I not turn one this way?
I wondered why it was turned around backwards, but yeah, that makes sense.
I wasn't going to do it till the games.
So let's.
Are you ready to pick some games, Wes?
No.
You know what? I messed up because when he did his interview, his intro, I was going to go, let's pick games. And I totally messed that up.
Nobody wants to pick games. So
we all want to pick games.
So who's your? I didn't want. I didn't want to.
Right, it's not even updated over here.
I didn't want to get into too much NFL stuff. But who's your mid-season Super Bowl prediction?
Well, I mean, is that easy?
Is it?
Yeah.
I mean, there's 4 viable teams in each conference, I think. It's an 8-team race, in my opinion.
So let me try to guess these. And I can't even keep. I've told you before, I can't keep NFC and AFC lined up. Chiefs.
Yep.
Detroit.
Yep. That's your
Baltimore.
Super Bowl pick. Yes.
Philadelphia.
Yep.
I'm halfway there. Who else is decent right now?
Well, do you want a hint?
Yes.
The Bills are 8-2.
Oh yeah, the Bills.
The Steelers are 7-2.
The Steelers.
They have the best defense in the league, and they have an offense that is viable. I think.
So there's one more.
And I think the Commanders are competitive. I don't know that they're there yet. And or maybe it's just 7 then instead of 8.
No, we named them.
There was 4 in the AFC and then 3 in the NFC. I mean, Arizona's been kind of a surprise
Because their defense has played better. The same difference with Commanders.
Yeah.
Their defense has played
and then
better.
Atlanta goes out and lays an egg yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they fired Dennis Allen and then they managed to win a game. But Kamara didn't play well yesterday, and I didn't like that at all because, like, what the hell?
That's a Marshawn Lattimore-less Saints defense.
Yeah.
That went to the Commanders that should make them even better.
The kicker sucked yesterday. Young Hoku, he missed like 3. The Moody guy from San Francisco missed 3. Yes. I don't think you can count San Francisco as. I mean, they barely beat the Bucs yesterday.
And Deebo Samuels punched the long snapper because he was mad at him.
Yeah.
I mean, your field goal kicker standing right there. Why don't you give him down the road because he's missing 3? Well, by the way, he just come back off of a high ankle sprain. I mean,
yeah. But then you turn around and the Bates kid for the Lions last night squeaked it in by like 2 inches. I mean, it was close. That kid has got ice in his veins, though.
I just
even Tucker was missing kicks the other night for the Ravens.
Yeah,
which never happens.
I don't see anybody beating the Chiefs. I just don't. Their defense is that good.
They've got those refs in their back pocket too.
And DeAndre Hopkins means the world to that team.
Oh yeah, that was a big get, and they got him for nothing.
Nothing.
Just like
I just don't,
It's like in Dynasty Fantasy. Just keep giving Spencer the best players.
He means the world, but I mean they brought in Kamara. They brought in Kareem Hunt, and he already knew the offense.
Yeah.
So and he's back. He's rejuvenated. He's running, and they're going to get Pacheco back in probably about 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, everything's.
Can they go undefeated? This was really close to them losing, and they still found a way to do it. Let's see.
I don't think they can go undefeated because the Broncos' defense is pretty good, but I don't think that they can. I don't think they can go undefeated.
Let's see who they got left. They play at Buffalo this week,
and see, I think they'll beat them because it's not snowing yet.
At Carolina, win. Las Vegas,
win.
Home against the Chargers.
That'll be a good one.
At Cleveland,
win.
Houston at home. They're playing Houston at home.
Doesn't matter. Win.
Then they go to Pittsburgh and to Denver in back-to-back weeks.
One of those two is going to be an L.
I mean, Denver had them yesterday.
I think they end up with
Denver
2
had
losses.
them yesterday, and
I could see Pittsburgh beating them.
Mike Tomlin's one of them. Somebody before the end of the season is going to figure out how to shut D-Hop down.
I think that they'll still beat Denver because I don't think Denver's offense is still yet there because they don't have a running game.
Yeah. I think Pittsburgh and Houston could order the Chargers.
The Pittsburgh and the Chargers game.
They've already played the Chargers and they won 17-10, and that was at the Chargers though. But that was, I think that was without Herbert.
What week was that? If it was Herbert
4?
Played every week, but he was hurt. And if it was early,
it was week 4.
Okay, then he was still hurt.
Yeah, he
was on the verge of getting better, but he was still hurt.
Tyreek Hill is playing through the wrist injury tonight.
Well, I mean, of course he is. By the way, Keon Coleman's already been called out.
I saw that.
I think it's going to be the Steelers.
Yeah, I think Steelers can beat them.
It's at
Pittsburgh.
Oof,
in the cold. Well, I mean, the cold doesn't matter with Kansas City. They're used to that. Boy, that would suck if you get to that point undefeated, though, wouldn't it?
Ooh, no.
You know what that is?
What sucks
That's championship week in fantasy football, too.
It's week 17?
Yeah. Anybody with them Chiefs and Steelers players, that's going to suck. Glad I don't have none of them.
Yeah, no kidding.
I won't even tell you how great Xavier Worthy's looked ever since you all rubbed cream pie in my face on that first show. Because
he's lost the confidence of Patrick Mahomes. That's what it is.
Yeah, because he can't catch. I told you he couldn't catch. So, anyways.
He's still yet a rookie. We'll see.
So, who's your pick? Are you thinking the Chiefs and the Lions?
I think so because
it makes the most sense. Can the Lions beat them? Does the Detroit Lions win the Super Bowl if they stay healthy this year? Man, they are so freaking resilient.
You know, I think it's all about Ben Johnson. You know, they've got. Here's the thing. No, I take that back. I think Ben Johnson's going to put them in the places they need to do to win. It all comes down to Jared Goff.
Yeah.
Can he throw the ball where it needs to be thrown to win that game?
They're resilient as hell. I thought they had lost that game soundly last night, and then they come back and won that game.
Their running game is next to nobody in the NFL. Yeah. I mean, and somebody would. I'm sure somebody would be like, "Well, what about King Henry?" It's just him
and Lamar.
Yeah, well, and Lamar, that's true, but
they didn't run the ball very good against the Bengals. Well, they couldn't.
The Bengals, yeah. I mean, they've got two running backs that are perfect back and forth. You've still got St. Brown out there. You've got if Laporta comes back and he's not too bad hurt with his AC joint, they just got too many weapons.
Yeah,
but it all hinges on Jared Goff. Because their defense is
I don't know that there's anybody in the NFC outside of Philadelphia that can beat them. And I don't know that Philadelphia can beat them.
Yeah, because I think their defense will mess with Hurts' mind a little bit. Mm-hmm. And if you contain Saquon, then you're gonna have to leave it up to Hurts to.
And I don't know if it's possible or not, but if well, never mind. I'm going to save that for Dear Santa.
Okay.
I agree with you. Do you have anybody different in the Super Bowl? And I'm not counting the Ravens out because I think the Ravens have a legitimate shot of getting the Super Bowl too.
I don't.
I'm going by the logo. This is totally off the wall.
It didn't work last year, by the way.
Chiefs, Bucks.
Bucks? There's no way. They're 4-5.
I'm just saying.
Well, I mean, yeah, but they're still in the hunt for the. The Falcons just lost.
Where are you coming up with Bucks at? Because of red and gold?
Have you seen the logo?
No.
If you go by the logo,
they'll change it.
I mean, if you did it in the preseason before a game was even played, you would say Seattle has a pretty good chance. But If you go by the logo, there's Chiefs red in there, and there's Bucks red in there. The only thing
I would count that more 49ers than I would Chiefs or Bucks. I mean,
and see, I think they probably thought the 49ers would be there,
and they might because that's got gold in it too. So that's where you see. That's where I'm getting the 49ers.
But their defense
is it in New Orleans?
Yes.
Okay.
By the way, the play that Baker made against the 49ers,
holding that dude at Steph Arm, and
it wasn't just some dude. That was Nick Bosa.
Yeah.
And he had him stiff armed, but he had him by the jersey, so he knew I'm gonna hold my arm out as stiff as I possibly can. I'm still gonna keep because Bosa was trying to push through that, and he couldn't. He was going like this and kept pushing him. He's like, I'm just gonna push him out of bounds. And about 2 or 3 yards before he went out of bounds, he was like, "Oh, hey."
He throws a cannon and gets a first down.
Yeah.
Look, when I watched that play,
Tom Brady was
like, that is why I love Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, that's
because
I don't care what
there
Neil
ain't
thinks
nobody
about him.
in the league that could have done that, made that throw other than Baker Mayfield yesterday, and held him off
with his swagger. No,
yeah, nobody. So. Is Travis Hunter a lock for the Heisman at this point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. If they've got 2 games left.
Especially if they get to the Big 12 title game.
How many, do they have 8 wins?
They are
they 7-2?
But in the Big 12, they only have 1 loss.
Right. But I think that Adam had said no Heisman Trophy winner has won it with less than 8 wins.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and I think one of those 2 games they're going to get to.
They control their destiny right now.
Right. So, I mean, as long as they get to 8 wins, and I don't know that even really matters. The only person that I can say that I think is pushing is Dylan Gabriel.
Boy, he's pretty good.
He's got his team at 10-0, and he's played really, really well the last 4 weeks. Really well.
Yeah. Let's see. I mean, what it's going to take if Oregon continues to win and Colorado slips up, that'll cost him. Because that's just what they do, right? They have Utah, Kansas, and Oklahoma State. In all honesty, Colorado's biggest game is probably Utah this week.
Yeah.
But 2 of those 3 games are at home, and the road game is against Kansas.
Yeah,
they should win all 3 of those games.
You would think so. Utah's going to be tough because they're mad.
So 3 different places that I looked. Travis Hunter is predicted number 1. All of them had the same 3. It was Travis Hunter, Ashton Genty, and Cam Ward.
Going to for the Heisman?
For the Heisman.
I think, and I understand that. I do understand that. I think it's really bad
that Dylan Gabriel would have jumped Cam Ward with them losing this week.
Well, and maybe that'll happen.
Yeah. And
I could see them getting both of those guys there. So all 4 of those guys.
I'm not sold on the fact that Cam Ward is not the number 1 pick. And at quarterback.
That's possible.
I mean, I can see Shadur Sanders, but Dion and Shadur's attitude and stuff like that will affect some of that, I think.
Unless he goes to Las Vegas.
We're getting close on time, so we're going to have to
go ahead.
Wrap up a little bit.
We're good.
So are we ready to unveil our new bracket?
We are.
So what we have done is just basically after this past week, we've taken into consideration, and we've now changed our layout, and we had quite a few changes on that. Mm-hmm. So
had to be,
yeah. All right, you want to hit her?
Wax on, wax off.
Wow, right there we had a little bit of change. Boom, boom, boom. Boom. Lots of changes. So number 1,
two teams
Oregon State
stayed in their same spot.
Yeah, Oregon and Ohio State.
Yep.
So Oregon stayed at 1. Texas moves up to 2 with Georgia. Man, look at that. Georgia is falling completely out of the playoffs now.
Yeah.
BYU gets a squeaker against Utah. Utah might have got screwed in that game. But BYU stays undefeated. They move up to 3. SMU, who is now taking over the first spot in the ACC, which blows my mind.
Who had been sitting in our first 4 out. So they're not a total off the wall.
They didn't play this week, but they get the bye. They get that bye week love by Miami losing. Then we have Ohio State and Boise State in the 5-12 matchup. Tennessee, Miami falls to number 9 there in the 8-9 matchup.
Tennessee moved up to number 8.
Okay. And then we got Penn State and Notre Dame in the 7-10. And then Indiana, Alabama. Alabama jumped into the top 12 this time, right? They weren't in it last time.
They have, based on our rankings, they have been number 12, but they got booted by Boise State being the 5th conference champion.
Yeah.
So
that would football.
They are the ones that get booted by Boise State this time.
So our first 4 out is Texas A&M, Clemson, Ole Miss, and Georgia.
Now, given this is an average,
this
is an average of the 5 of us.
That's an average of the 5 of us, but our first 4 out is only because those are the only teams that have received votes.
Whenever we put this on, I mean, I don't know how hard it would be, but whenever we put this on, we ought on Facebook, we ought to put this up and then have a graphic below it that showed each one of our rankings, because I don't even have SMU in my rankings. I don't have SMU in my 12.
Because you didn't even realize SMU was in the ACC. Because you thought they were in the Big 12 earlier.
Well, and
that's why you ain't got them in there. You've got them behind all them other Big 12 teams.
Give Smooth some respect.
And I still don't know that it really matters, because I think Miami gets in. I think they'll win. In my rankings, I think Miami still wins the conference championship game. And
I don't know that Miami makes it. Do they play Clemson, or would that only be in the championship game?
That would only be in the championship game.
See who Clemson's got left on their schedule.
We can drop a graphic.
Yeah.
Clemson has one more conference game, and that's Pittsburgh this weekend at Pitt.
Right.
Then they have the tough matchup against the Citadel.
And then who they play? South Carolina.
Play home against South Carolina.
Yeah. Which is no gimme.
No, I mean really well. A dime off the ACC, not a dime, and they had to raise money in order to put money into the transfer portal.
Well, that's everybody.
And I forget, like what was it, $100 million that they had to raise, I think, in order to be able to even to get to the ACC. They had to have that kind of money to fund them for travel and stuff because they're not making any TV money.
They're making money from one of the 2 conferences. They're just not out there on the island right now, are they? They can't be.
I don't know if they're making money from their old conference or not. They're not making any money from the ACC, though.
No, I think they are on an island right now.
Yeah. That's why they raised the $100 million.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous because why in the world would any of the ACC teams be like, yeah, this is perfectly fine. What are you doing? Why are you moving and you're not making, and you're putting yourself on a damn island like that?
I don't know that
That's
California
ridiculous.
and Stanford's making any money either.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But think of, okay,
like Maryland.
If our bracket plays out the way we have it, think of what the ACC looks like when they get the first round bye in the playoff.
Yeah.
That's egg on the ACC's face.
Well, and look, and I think how long has Maryland been in the Big Ten at this point? Maybe 10 years. They're not fully funded. They don't make their own conference. So, but it's like, why do you leave?
Maybe they could invite.
But I mean, SMU just wanted in the dance. You know, SMU would not get the love they're getting right now if they're not in the ACC.
No,
they'd be battling for that 12 spot
because everybody thinks they're still in the Big 12,
right? And they wasn't even in the Big 12,
and they should be.
I think they were in the AAC. I think
they were.
That's right.
Yeah. So, all right.
Let's pick some games.
So
let's play some games.
There's Bradley. So we had a little bit of a change in the standings this week. Unfortunately, I got one game right. I got one game right. Lost my hero pick. Lost 5 points. So I was a -4 this week.
I'll never do that hero pick.
Look, I'm 6-1 as a hero. Okay, so I'm not going to knock on the fact that, you know, on the hero pick, because I'm 6-1 on the season picking heroes.
But you got -5.
I did get -5, and I made one.
It stings, don't it?
It does.
It hurts.
It does.
Believe
John
me.
has successfully went from first to last in 2 weeks.
Yeah. It stings a little bit.
Yeah,
so,
I started the season out in the hole, basically.
So, current standings, Darren stays in first place with 71. Wes is at 67. Neil is at 65. Adam is at 61. And I'm in last place with 60. So, that means I get to pick first again, which is when I do my best work in
I
last
thought me
place.
and Neil were tied at 67.
He was...
This
is why I keep up with the score, okay?
We had determined my clicker had 2 extra points for Neil.
Which would indicate
so I've got second place by myself.
Yes.
Oh. Even better.
Yeah. I was like, man, I said, your math ain't math. And I said, they had, this points or this points last week. And he goes, well, it would help if I started out with the right points. And I was like, yeah. So
we finally figured out that Adam and Neil were 2 points off.
Oh.
And so I must have started.
And you're complaining about all the we're all within 11 points, for heaven's sakes.
I didn't complain.
He was complaining earlier.
Listen.
Well, I mean, golly.
When was I complaining?
I mean, let's get I'm getting over here because lightning.
Coach, if somebody says we need to change the system because it ain't right.
When did I say that?
Is that
on
look,
air?
He's not
49 minutes and 30 seconds ago.
Right.
He wasn't on air.
He was like, that was
no
off.
proof of nothing.
That was off the record. You don't know. I don't know. You don't know what we're talking about.
Guarantee it.
You didn't have that recorded because we talked about it off air.
You need to make his mic a hot mic if we ever do this again. Start it at 5 o'clock and just let it run. That way we've got it.
We need to change the system. He went from last to first in 4 weeks.
This is why
that's what you're all about.
This is why I told Neil that he needed to bring this up, because you all would blame me for it. It was his idea.
From the time that you traded Todd Gurley and said, shock the system, that was your end all be all. Let's shock the system. We got to change it. We got to shock the system.
Yeah, he shocked the system, all right.
Shocked
he
the system.
That
got a championship ring for it.
You can still have 2 bad weeks and go to last.
Cheater.
Hey, I wouldn't be in last if I had not gotten that -4 though.
5. It was
4. I got 1 point, so I was -4 on the week. So, anyways, all right, let's pick these games because we're getting ready to do our coach's show. All right, so first game.
When Wes missed his hero, at least he got his regular games right.
Yeah, 12 o'clock. Clemson at Pittsburgh.
And Sean takes
Clemson. And Adam takes Clemson. And Neil takes Clemson. And Wes, you take?
I'm going to take Clemson.
Well, I know Darren ain't giving this point up.
Nope.
All right.
If Wes had went Pitt, I would have went Pitt. But
next game, 12 o'clock, Tulane at Navy. Let's just go ahead and jump on down to West because everybody has taken Tulane to this point.
I think this is where John Summerall is going to slip up. I'm actually taking Navy.
I thought everybody would take Navy. That's why I took Tulane.
I'm going to go with Wes. I'm taking Navy as well.
All right. 4:15, Missouri at South Carolina. We're going to jump on down to West again because everybody took South Carolina.
And Mizzou is Mizzou.
Mm-hmm.
I have spelled it this way all year long. Missouri is not spelled with Z's.
If you put the I at the end, you keep the S's.
Well, if I put the I at the end, then it throws my little thing off in the spacing. I got all the letters in there I can get in there.
Just the font on his. This is pre-made, Wes.
You know what that
he
is?
doesn't do this.
It's the smallest violin.
Look, it's already about as small as I can read it. If I go any smaller, I won't be able to read it. Anyways.
Wesley.
Wes. Everybody took South Carolina.
It's at South Carolina.
It is.
Yeah. I hate South Carolina. And I hate that stupid cock-a-doodle-doo crap that they do. And I hate Sandstorm.
Really?
But
I like Sandstorm.
That means 4:15 means it's going to be on ABC. So I'm taking South Carolina.
He said South Carolina, just so you know.
I hate Shane Beaver.
Daron, do you dare gamble?
Tigers.
Oh. And just for the record, Neil, Adam, and I have not discussed this at all. I had mine wrote down already.
Sure. Right.
He says he got their picks.
Mine was wrote down before I got their picks.
He didn't get their picks. He just said, here's what I picked. Team.
Playing in Manhattan is a tough job to do. I'm taking Kansas State because I don't like that they lost at Cincinnati. Arizona State, that is.
I'd already wrote it down. Oh, wait, that's Sun Devils. Never mind. I was going to say Arizona Wildcats.
Forks up.
All right. And our 7:30 game, Tennessee at UGA.
You skip on down?
No. We don't skip on down. I'm taking the Volunteers here. I really wish I knew that Nico Iamaleava was playing or not, because there's a chance that he won't.
What's his last name?
Iamaleava.
It's pretty good.
It's right. Not only is it pretty good, it's right. Huh?
I said, because you've practiced.
Yeah. Iamaleava. So, yeah, I'm taking Tennessee. The other two are both taking Georgia. Wes, we know you want to take Tennessee. They're your favorite team.
I'm taking Tennessee because Georgia is in a funk, and I don't know that Kirby Smart can dig his way out of it. And there's a reason that Georgia was not on that playoff thing. Mm-hmm. Something's wrong. I don't know if it's Carson Beck has got the yips in his head.
According
they
to
can't run the ball.
Joel Klatt, it's the offensive line. From the film that he's watched, he's blaming the offensive line. Said they can't move, they can't keep anybody. And Tennessee has a better defense than Ole Miss.
Oh, wait a minute, this is in Athens.
Yes. So, are you changing your pick?
I'm gonna stick with Tennessee.
Okay, Darren.
Since West took them, I don't feel so bad. I'm going to go with Tennessee, too.
That's gross.
Protecting the lead there, right? All right. It's dog time. Or hero. Are you going to sing the hero? Never mind. Nobody has a hero so far. So. It can be your hero, baby.
That's the wrong one.
I have a feeling I know who Sean's taking.
You do?
Yeah, because you already wrote it down.
That's the privileges of being the first pick.
Because he picks first, that means he's able to just type it in there.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm just going to go straight.
Let me take a nap because I'm usually picking first. So.
I'm just going to take straight dog here, and I'm going to go Syracuse plus 8.5.
It's a good pick.
And I don't even know who they're playing. I don't even remember who they're playing.
They're playing.
They're
California.
playing basketball.
No, they're not playing basketball.
California. Yeah.
California.
Adam.
I know what he took.
Also taking a dog pick because he called me and asked me who I was taking, so he'd know whether or not.
Because he probably thought you were taking this one.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't bring myself to do it. He's taking Nebraska plus 9 at USC as just a dog.
I think that's a good pick too.
I told him, I said, I'd really appreciate it if you take it as an atomic dog because it almost guaranteed they'd win. Neil is taking, Sarah will appreciate this, Coastal Carolina plus 8.5 as a dog.
I looked at that one.
He's like, I don't really like that pick, but he's like, it's a rough week. It's a rough week for games.
It's a rough week. You're getting ready to find out how much of a rough week it is.
So wake up, Wes. It's your turn to pick.
I'm taking Western Michigan versus Bowling Green tomorrow night as just a regular dog.
Okay.
They are. Well, it's went down since I was going to do it. They're plus 8, not plus 8.5 now.
Okay.
Dang it.
All right. And Darren? I think it's funny that nobody's picking no atomic dogs this week.
Because
when I'm in first place, everybody's like atomic dog, atomic dog, atomic dog.
Yeah.
I too am going to take straight dog.
Wuss.
And I'm going to stay in the SEC. Arkansas.
You're taking Arkansas?
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
Arkansas plus 13.5.
Who are they playing?
Texas.
Well, we don't have to worry about him gaining 5 points.
That's 0.
Wes, you got a chance at that number 1 spot now. Come on, Western Michigan, right?
That's right. I don't even know what Western Michigan is.
Aren't they the Broncos or something?
The Broncos. Let's go Broncos.
I'm pretty sure I've played Western Michigan on the NCAA game before.
You probably, with them.
Yeah.
Because they're probably a 2-star on there.
Maybe.
They do play in the MACtion.
Yeah. All right. Well, guys, there you have it for another edition of the From Corner Corner podcast. Be sure to check us out on Mondays for our Coach's Corner show and every Saturday for our, whatever you want to call this, variety show, I guess. So we'll catch you guys next week.
Stay safe, friends.